A 5-year-old boy is collapsing in a dark, empty Christmas park. Lips blue, tears freezing on his face, when he grabs a stranger's coat and whispers whisper cut through the blizzard. Sir, my mom never came home. By the time the CEO understood what that meant, it was almost too late. The wind cut like broken glass across the Christmas-lit park. It was a brutal winter night, long after the last family had vanished into the dark, when no sane parent would leave a child outside. Colored bulbs blinked over empty swings and snow-choked slides while thick, wet flakes slashed sideways under the street lamps, swallowing sound, swallowing light. James R. Pizzo, 5 years old, cheeks wind-burned raw, eyelashes crusted white, stood alone beneath the frozen arch of holiday garland. His oversized green parka hung off his shoulders. The cuff swallowed his hands whole. His boots were soaked through, his little fingers stiff and bloodless. Snow melted into the tears frozen on his face as he clutched a plastic toy truck like it was the only real thing left in the world. Mommy always came home before the sky turned gray. Always. She cleaned the tallest glass tower in the city, the one with the glowing silver D, so she could be there when he opened his eyes. But this morning the apartment was empty. The cocoa never made. The bed still cold. So James had walked out into the night, searching every lit window, every passing car, until the pretty Christmas park was all that remained. Snow fell harder now, erasing his footprints almost before they formed. His legs buckled. He dropped to his knees beside the iced-over slide, hugging the toy truck to his chest, breath hitching in tiny, panicked sobs. That was the exact moment Ben Dabb's black overcoat dusted white, cutting through the park on his way to the fundraiser that bore his name, heard something too small to be the wind. He almost kept walking. He was late, and the sound could have been anything. Then he saw the child collapse sideways into a drift. Ben's leather folio hit the snow. He ran boots, punching through the crust, breath exploding in white clouds, dropping hard to his knees and ripping off his coat in one motion. "Hey kid, look at me!" He wrapped the cashmere around the tiny, shaking body. James's eyes cracked open, glassy with shock and cold. His blue lips trembled, and the words came out on a thread of frozen air. "Sir, my mom never came home last night." His icy fingers clutched Ben's shirt with surprising strength. Then his grip went slack, and his eyes rolled back. Something primal detonated in Ben's chest. He scooped the boy up. James weighed nothing, terrifyingly nothing, and sprinted for the idling town car at the park gate, snow flying from his shoes like shrapnel. "Heat full blast, go!" he roared at his driver, sliding into the back seat with the child pressed against his heart. He rubbed James's frozen hands between his own, feeling the tiny pulse flutter too fast, too weak. The car lurched forward, tires spinning, then biting. Headlights carved tunnels through the blinding snow as Ben barked into his phone. "Security desk. Dabbs Tower. This is Dabbs. Pull the overnight logs for janitorial. Name: Lily Pizzo. I want to know the second she clocked out. Do it now." James stirred against his chest, whispering one more time, barely audible. "She works in your building." Ben looked down at the child who had just placed his entire world in a stranger's hands, and felt the night turn infinitely colder. The car sped toward the tower that carried his name, carrying a CEO who still had no idea that by sunrise he would be fighting for 2 lives instead of 1. Real quick, if stories like this one move you, if you believe in second chances and the power of showing up for someone, subscribe and join this community. We're building something special here, and we'd love to have you with us. The town car fishtailed through the storm, heat roaring like a furnace. Ben kept James crushed against his chest, rubbing the boy's frozen hands until faint pink returned. James's teeth still chattered, but his eyes were wide open now, fixed on Ben with animal trust. Ben hit a button. The privacy glass dropped. "Marcus, detour to the fundraiser tent. Tell catering I need the biggest hot cocoa they have. Move." 90 seconds later, the driver was back with a steaming silver thermos. Ben poured it into the lid, wrapped James's numb fingers around it. The boy drank in tiny, scalding sips, chocolate smearing his upper lip. "Tell me about Mommy," Ben said, voice low. James's words tumbled out between shivers. "She cleans the big shiny building with the D on top. Leaves at 9, home by 6. Always makes cocoa before I wake up. Always." His lip quivered. But today, nothing. Ben's pulse spiked. Dabb's corporate tower. His tower. He thumbed his phone. Ramirez, head of security, picked up on the first ring. "Sir?" "Janitorial logs. Overnight shift. Employee Lily Pizzo. Clock out time." Keys clattered. Silence stretched. "She badged in at 21:07, sir. No clock out recorded." The line seemed to frost over. Ben's still in the building. Ben's jaw locked. "Lock it down. Nobody leaves. I'm 3 minutes out." He killed the call. James stared up at him. Cocoa forgotten. "Mommy doesn't forget things." the boy whispered, fierce and terrified. I know. Ben cupped the small face, sticky cheek. We're getting her right now. James's cold little hand slid into Ben's 5 tiny fingers, locking on like Ben was the only solid thing left in the universe. Ben leaned forward. Forget the fundraiser. Dab's tower. Fast. The driver floored it. Snow lashed the windshield in sheets. Traffic lights bled red and green into the blur. Street lamps vanished behind curtains of white. James pressed his face to the glass, breath fogging it in frantic clouds. As the tower's silver D finally pierced the storm like a blade, James squeezed Ben's hand so hard it hurt. She's in there, he breathed. I know it. The car screeched to a stop under the portico. Ben stepped out into the howling night, James cradled against his shoulder, and stared up at 43 floors of glass and steel that suddenly looked like a tomb. Then let's go bring her home. The lobby of Dab's tower was a cavern of black marble and emergency LEDs. The usual waterfall wall frozen mid-cascade from the power dip. 2 night guards snapped to attention when Ben stormed in. James welded to his hip like a barnacle. Mr. Dabbs. We weren't. Later. Ben's voice cracked like a whip. Sublevel access. Now. They rode the service elevator in silence. James's arms locked around Ben's neck, toy truck digging into Ben's collarbone. Every floor ding felt like a countdown. They started on 20. Janitorial closets, supply cages, restrooms, nothing but bleach fumes and humming ice machines. 40 floors became 30, became 15. James's breathing grew shallow, hot against Ben's throat. Security finally pulled the feed. Grainy footage. Lily Pizzo, ponytail swinging, pushing her cart into sublevel B, 3 at 2:14 a.m. The timestamp froze. No exit. Doors dead, the guard muttered. Power surge fried the mag locks. Maintenance can't get down there till morning. Ben's eyes cut to the stairwell, then to James. Morning would be too late. They took the stairs 2 at a time. At the sub-level landing, the electronic panel glowed angry red. Ben slammed the emergency bar. Nothing. He wedged the fire axe from the wall between the doors and heaved. Metal screamed. James covered his ears. A hiss of cold, stale air rolled out, thick with dust and machine oil. The lights below flickered once, twice, then steadied to a sickly amber. James's voice cracked. What if she's hurt? Ben dropped to one knee, gripping the boy's shoulders hard enough to bruise. Then we get her out faster. Eyes on me, James. I promised. James nodded, tears carving clean tracks through the dirt on his cheeks. Ben took the flashlight from the guard, clicked it on, and stepped into the throat of the stairwell. James's hand found his again, small fingers iron tight. Together, they descended into the dark heart of the tower, footsteps echoing like gunshots, the temperature dropping with every step until their breath hung in front of them like ghosts. Somewhere far below, something dripped. Slow, steady, final. The sub-level corridor stretched like a dying vein, amber bulbs stuttering overhead. Water dripped from ruptured pipes in a slow, metallic heartbeat. The air tasted of rust and cold. James's grip went rigid. I hear Mommy breathing, he whispered, voice cracking with impossible hope. Ben swung the flashlight. 20 feet ahead, slumped against a humming boiler, lay Lily Pizzo. Her skin was the color of paper ash. Cart overturned, cleaning rags scattered like shed feathers. One shoe missing. James screamed, Mommy! And bolted. Ben lunged, catching the boy around the waist inches from her outstretched arm. James kicked, wailing, tiny fists beating air. Ben dropped beside her. 2 fingers to her throat. Pulse there, but faint. God, so faint. A trapped moth under ice. She was freezing, lips blue, uniform soaked with condensation. Dehydrated, hypothermic, collapsed hours ago, and unheard. Horror punched Ben in the sternum. This was his building, his protocols, his failure. He slid his arms under her, lifting her limp weight like something already lost. She weighed less than James. Her head rolled against his shoulder, ponytail matted with grease and frost. James stumbled alongside, clutching his mother's cold fingers, refusing to let go even when they wouldn't close around his. They ran. Stairs. Lobby. Guards shouting into radios. Snow exploded through the revolving doors as paramedics burst in with a stretcher. Ben laid her down himself, hands shaking so hard he almost dropped her. Oxygen mask. IV lines. Heated blankets. The lead medic's eyes flicked to Ben. Grim, but professional. She's alive. Barely. James tried to climb onto the stretcher. Ben caught him, held him tight as they wheeled Lily into the storm. Red lights painted the snow bloody. Sirens tore the night open. Ben crouched, snow soaking his knees, and pulled James against his chest. "She's going to be okay," he said, voice raw. "I'm not leaving you. Not tonight. Not ever." James buried his face in Ben's coat, fingers twisted in cashmere like it was the last rope on earth. "Don't go," he whispered. Ben pressed his lips to the boy's snow-wet hair. "I'm right here, buddy. Right here." The ambulance door slammed. Ben carried James inside and never let go. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic, and warm blankets warmed in a dryer. Lily lay small against the white sheets, ivy dripping life back into her veins. The doctor's words still rang in Ben's ears. Another hour, and she'd have slipped away forever. James had curled into the crook of her arm the moment they let him, refusing the cot, refusing food, refusing to blink. Ben sat on the opposite side, coat gone, tie gone, sleeves rolled, eyes burning from no sleep. His phone had been dead for hours. Every meeting this week was ash. He'd spent the night in the corridor with a tablet, tearing through decades of safety reports. What he found made him sick. No mandatory breaks for night staff. No panic buttons in sublevels. No check-in protocol after 3 a.m. He forwarded the files to legal with one line: "Fix it. Yesterday." By dawn, the orders were signed and circulating. 15-minute paid breaks every 2 hours. New badge scanners with silent alarms. 8-hour shift cap. No exceptions. Lone worker check-ins every 60 minutes or automatic search. Lily's eyes fluttered open at noon. She stared at the stranger holding her sleeping son, panic flaring. I didn't finish my shift," she rasped. "Please don't fire me. I need—" "No." Ben's voice was quiet, lethal, soft. "You're not losing anything. Ever again." James stirred, felt her fingers move, and squeezed them hard. "Mommy, he found you," he whispered, voice cracking with leftover terror. "Mr. Ben carried you out," he promised. Lily's gaze flicked from her son to the man whose building had almost killed her, and tears spilled before she could stop them. Not fear this time. Gratitude so sharp it hurt. Ben looked away first, throat working. Something ancient and frozen inside him cracked wide open at the sight of those tears. He reached out, slow, and brushed a strand of hair from her forehead with the same hand that signed billion-dollar deals. His fingers trembled. "I'm sorry," he said, the words rough, foreign. "This happened on my watch. Never again." Lily searched his face, saw the exhaustion, the guilt, the fierce new protectiveness, and her tears fell harder. James crawled higher, laying his head on her chest. Ben stayed exactly where he was, one hand on the boy's back, the other resting inches from Lily's. Pause for just a second. If this story is hitting you in the heart, if you've ever been invisible, or if you've ever wanted to be the person who shows up, leave a comment. Tell us your story. This community sees you, and we're here for it. Outside, snow kept falling, soft and clean forgiveness against the window. Inside, 3 heartbeats began to learn the same rhythm. Weeks blurred into quiet miracles. Ben moved Lily to a new daytime role. Facilities liaison, double the pay, no nights, no sublevel, ever again. She stared at the offer letter like it might vanish. "I'm just a cleaner," she said. "You're the reason half my policies just changed," Ben answered. "Take it." For him, she did. James became headquarters' smallest shadow. He had a booster seat at the corner of Ben's glass desk, a stack of printer paper, and an endless supply of crayons. Ben's executives learned to step around the boy who trailed Mr. Ben to every meeting. Toy truck clutched like a badge. Surprises arrived without fanfare. A steaming mug of cocoa with extra marshmallows when James hadn't asked for. A pint-sized leather chair engraved JRP. A red metal toy truck, exact twin to the one lost in the snow, left on the seat with a note, "For being brave." Lily watched from doorways and felt her guarded heart stutter. The man who once terrified boardrooms now knelt to tie tiny shoelaces, listened to 5-year-old theories about dinosaurs, and actually laughed when James smeared chocolate on his Brioni sleeve. One Thursday, the city shut down under fresh snow. Ben showed up at the hospital, follow-up with grocery bags. "My fridge is bigger," he said simply, "and I make a mean spaghetti." So they went to his penthouse. James raced across marble that echoed like a cathedral while Ben cooked sleeves rolled, tie abandoned, humming off key. Lily leaned in the doorway, wineglass untouched, afraid to breathe too loud in case the moment shattered. They ate at a table that could seat 23 plates clustered at one end. James fell asleep mid-bite, spaghetti sauce on his cheek. Ben carried him to the guest room without waking him, then returned to find Lily tracing the rim of her glass. "This feels dangerous," she said quietly. "Ben's scary as hell," Ben admitted, "but I'm tired of empty rooms." Later, driving them home through quiet streets, James drowsy against his mother, the boy lifted his head. "Mr. Ben?" Sleepy voice, huge question. "Will you come see where we live?" "It's small, but I have bunk beds." The city lights blurred past. Ben's hands tightened on the wheel, chest suddenly too small. "Yeah, buddy," he managed, voice rough. "I'd like that." James smiled, satisfied, and tucked his head back under Lily's arm. In the rearview mirror, Ben caught Lily watching him, eyes soft, unguarded for the first time. Something warm and terrifying bloomed between them, fragile as new snow. He didn't look away. The fire alarm shrieked without warning, a jagged blade through the 42nd floor. Lights flashed red. Investors froze mid-slide as Ben's calm presentation shattered into shouting and scraping chairs. Lily was 2 floors down in HR, signing final paperwork. James was alone in the executive break room, coloring a picture of 3 stick figures holding hands. When the sirens hit, he dropped his crayon and ran. The hallway was a river of suits. No mommy, no Mr. Ben, just noise and strangers and the same terror he'd felt that first night in the park. He remembered the side exit the cleaning cart used, the one that opened straight onto the alley. The door clicked shut behind him. Snow swallowed the sound. Outside, the storm had teeth again. Wind tore at his too big parka. Ice stung his cheeks. He only made it 20 yards before his legs gave out behind the dumpsters, knees to chest, sobbing into frozen sleeves. Upstairs, Lily sprinted back to the break room and found the crayons scattered, the booster seat empty. The scream that left her throat wasn't human. Ben heard it over the dying alarm. He took one look at her face, and the world narrowed to a single, deafening truth. James was gone. He didn't wait for elevators. He hit the stairwell running, suit jacket flapping open, dress shoes sliding on salt and slush. The lobby doors exploded outward as he burst into the blizzard coatless, breath ripping white. "James!" His voice cracked raw, swallowed by wind. He ran the perimeter, checking every shadow, every drift, alley, loading dock. Behind the dumpsters, he saw the small green lump shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. Ben dropped to his knees in filthy snow. "James, God, James, I've got you." The boy looked up, face blue-white, tears frozen on lashes. "I want Mommy," he wailed, teeth chattering so hard the words broke. Ben stripped off his suit jacket and wrapped it twice around the tiny body, pulling James against his chest. The child was ice. The sobs were fire. Ben's own tears came hot and sudden, mixing with snow as he rocked him. "I'm here. I'm here. You're safe. I've got you, son." The word slipped out before he could stop it. Son. It detonated inside his ribs. Undeniable. Permanent. James's arms locked around his neck, legs around his waist, clinging like Ben was the only real thing left in the storm. Ben stood, cradling him tight, and ran back toward the light spilling from the lobby doors. He didn't feel the cold anymore. Only the weight of the child in his arms, the frantic heartbeat against his own, and the fierce, terrifying certainty that he would burn the world down before he ever let this boy feel lost again. The grand ballroom glittered like a snow globe turned inside out. Crystal chandeliers, black ties, champagne flutes catching light like frozen stars. Ben stood on the dais in midnight tuxedo, looking every inch the untouchable king, except for the faint scar of sleepless nights still under his eyes. Lily sat at table 1 in a borrowed navy gown, fingers knotted in her lap. James, in a miniature tux with the bow tie already crooked, leaned against her like a small, warm shield. Ben's voice carried over the hush. "Tonight isn't about numbers," he began, "the man who once lived for them. It's about a woman who worked unseen, night after night, so her little boy could have breakfast waiting when he woke up." A ripple went through the room. "She almost died in my building. Because no one noticed she was missing. Because our systems valued efficiency over a human life." He didn't look at Lily yet. He couldn't. She fought hypothermia, dehydration, and 12 hours alone in the dark, and she still apologized for not finishing her shift. A soft, broken sound escaped Lily. Heads turned. Eyes widened in recognition. Ben's gaze finally found her. "That woman is here tonight. She's the reason every night shift worker now has mandatory breaks, panic buttons, and a check-in that cannot be ignored. She's the reason no one in this company will ever be invisible again." The applause started small, then swelled into thunder. Cameras flashed. James launched himself at Lily's waist, arms locked tight, face glowing with fierce pride. Lily stood, trembling, tears sliding freely now. Ben stepped off the stage, the crowd parting like water, and stopped in front of her. The orchestra had gone silent. Even the clink of crystal stopped. He took the microphone again, voice low and steady. Some of you think I did this for good PR. I didn't. I did it because a 5-year-old trusted me with his entire world, and I will spend the rest of my life earning that trust. He looked straight at Lily. Thank you for letting me try. The room erupted again, louder, but Lily only saw the man in front of her. No longer the distant CEO, just Ben, eyes shining, hand half extended like he was afraid she'd vanish. She placed her trembling fingers in his. James grabbed the other. The applause rolled on, but the three of them stood in a pocket of perfect, quiet, palms joined, hearts finally loud enough for the whole world to hear. If you made it this far, you're part of this family now. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we need people like you here. People who believe in kindness, in showing up, in second chances. Welcome home. The gala's lights faded behind them. Ben drove himself tonight, the town car gliding through empty streets while snow drifted in slow, silver curtains. Inside, the silence was soft, almost holy. James's head rested on Lily's lap, her fingers threaded through his hair. The city's glow painted them gold and blue through the windows. Ben pulled to the curb outside their modest building, but didn't kill the engine. Snowflakes melted on the windshield like quiet, patient. He turned in the seat. The words had lived in his chest for weeks, sharp and burning. Lily. His voice cracked on her name. I don't want to fix your life. I don't want gratitude, or obligation, or charity. I just want to be part of it. Mornings, messy dinners, parent-teacher nights, all of it. If you'll let me. Lily's breath caught, tears already shining. James lifted his head, sleepy and certain. He crawled across the console and into Ben's lap without asking permission, small hands framing Ben's face. Does that mean breakfast with us? Every day? Ben's laugh came out wet, broken open. Yeah, buddy. Every day, if your mom says yes. James twisted to look at Lily, eyes huge. Say yes, Mommy, please. Lily reached over, fingers brushing Ben's cheek, then James's hair, both of them at once. Yes, she whispered, the word trembling but unbreakable. Yes. Ben pulled them in, arms folding around mother and son until there was no space left for cold or fear. James tucked under his chin, Lily's forehead against his throat, hearts hammering in the same frantic, grateful rhythm. Outside, snow kept falling, soft and endless, covering every old footprint, every scar the winter had left. Inside the car, 3 people breathed the same warm air and became, quietly and forever, a family. The engine idled. No one moved to leave. They had nowhere else to be, and all the time in the world to get there together.